Hello everyone, welcome to ACE Online and welcome to Daily Current Affairs Initiative. So some students were asking us that for which exams these current affairs are useful. So these current affairs are taken from the Hindu, Indian Express, PIB Press Information Bureau, which is a government website. So daily from all the ministries the news will be kept in the website. So we will be collecting what are all the relevant for our exam, right? So this initiative will cover all the competitive exams where current affairs is part of your syllabus, right? So you can be useful for all the exams. That's what we want to tell. So daily we are conducting. Last 2 days there was a lot of issues related to the budget. So that's why there was not much current affairs covered from Hindu, Indian Express or PIB. So that's why there are some extra issues today. There were 1 or 2 news from yesterday and day before yesterday we have taken in this particular day, right? So before we go into the session, we will see what are all the things, what are all the articles that we are going to cover today. First one, Blue Economy 2.0, which the budget document has been announced. So we will be modifying the Blue Economy, which earlier started. We are going to modify a little bit and we have come up with the Blue Economy 2.0. So we will also see how the questions can be framed from each of the article. Once we complete the article, a discussion of the article, we will also see how the questions can be framed from this particular article, right? Second article, we will see nano diammonium phosphate. This was also part of our budget, which the finance minister has announced. So they are going to pop up. I mean, they are going to encourage what is Nano DAP and utility of this among the farmers. That's why it is there in news. Then Amrit Bharat station scheme initiative of Ministry of Railways. So that was also there when the budget session was going on since last few days. So the ministry has announced that we have achieving this scheme more than 1100. We will see the details about it as well. Then Milan exercise of Indian Navy. So which is going to be start in the next coming few days. Then Typhoid TCV, a vaccine for typhoid fever. This is the world's first vaccine. We will also see details about this, right? Then fiscal deficit management. So we will see what is actually fiscal deficit and why it is very much in news. Every time you see that they talk about the budget documents or the economy talks about the fiscal deficit, we will see what is actually the fiscal deficit and why it is important to manage it. Then dusted Apollo, a butterfly that was there in news because for the first time it was discovered from Himachal Pradesh state. That becomes important again. Then Surajkund International Crafts Mela, which is happening in Haryana. Then Kavach system railway to avoid the collision between the trains. We will see the details about it as well. Lantana elephants that was deployed in Bengaluru. We will see whether they have life or they are just wooden elephants. We will see details about it. Then INS Sandhayak, a new naval ship launched by Ministry of Home Affairs. Then some factual pointers, of course. These are the facts that we are going to see, just 1 or 2 liners which are factual in nature. Finally, we will also see the practice questions from these topics that we are discussing, right? So if you have any doubts, you can ask here regarding the doubts. If you have any doubts related to the issues, we will also discuss about it if you are having any doubts, right? Yeah. So let's start with the article, first article today. First article is Blue Economy. So let's see the context, why it is there in news, why the newspapers has covered or why Press Information Bureau has covered it, right? So it is there in news because in budget, the finance minister has announced that we are going to revamp the existing Blue Economy scheme. That's why it is there in news. We are going to see the details about it. Before that, what is Blue Economy? So blue is nothing but to represent the water here, right? So here, ocean economy, that is going to be deployed in the Blue Economy. So what are all there in the components of ocean? We have fishes, the marine fishes, as well as the shipping lanes, the trade, and then some minerals, important minerals below the ocean floor, right? So all these are part of ocean. Then that's why we are calling it as a blue economy. Blue economy is nothing but any economy that is related to the ocean resources. Those are called as blue economy. So government is already across the world is utilizing the blue economy, and there was a standard definition by World Bank as well. So any resources management and their utility is called as blue economy given by World Bank. But what is happening since many years? We are utilizing the ocean resources, but we are not making them sustainable, not environmental friendly. So that's why now the government has come up with, not only we are using the ocean resources, but we are going to use them in a sustainable manner. That means the future generations will also have a chance to utilize them. That is called as Blue Economy 2.0, right? So second version, that not only using it in an economical manner, but also in a sustainable manner. That is the Blue Economy 2.0. So what are the budget proposals for the Blue Economy 2.0? So government has proposed certain things. First one is restoration and adaptation measures. So already if you go to any coastal area, there's a lot of garbage in the oceans. So government, along with utilizing economically, they are going to restore and adaptive measures for the human activity which are there in the oceans. They are going to make the oceans more adaptive. There are measures for that. So government is yet to announce the detailed measures. Only thing they have mentioned that we are going to make the restoration. That means we are going to clean the oceans, make them more sustainable. Along with that, future adaptations as well, we are going to deploy it. That was the first statement the government finance minister has said. Along with that, we are also going to launch 5 integrated aqua parks. That means the conditions existing in the oceans is going to be created in the inlands. That means within the land boundary of India, we are going to create the same conditions like oceans, and we are going to develop the fishery sector. So there is a 5 integrated aqua parks. This number is also very important to remember. They may ask directly how many integrated aqua parks were proposed in the budget 2024, right? Then there may be some doubts, what is actually aquaculture and then what is mariculture. Government has mentioned both the things, aquaculture as well as mariculture, that they are going to deploy or utilize within the boundaries of India. The ocean condition is going to be situated within the interiors of the India. So we need to know in the exam what is aquaculture and then what is mariculture also they may ask in the exam, right? So aquaculture is nothing but farming, like doing the agriculture of aquatic plants as well as animals. So we will create a condition within the land boundary, we will create exact conditions of the oceans, and then we are going to cultivate fishes as well as seaweed, whatever the plants that they grow in the oceans, we are going to cultivate it. So it is called as aquaculture, and within that there is a specific subset of aquaculture, that is mariculture, which refers to rearing of marine creatures in the salt water. So aquaculture is a broader term. So these all the things that creates the conditions of ocean in the interior, right? So that is called as aquaculture. Within aquaculture, there is a specific term called as mariculture. In that, we will put the salt water and then we will specifically nurture or cultivate the marine fishes or marine organisms. That is called as mariculture. So mariculture is part of aquaculture, but not aquaculture is part of mariculture, right? So it is a subset, it is a small thing. Mariculture is a small thing within the aquaculture specific to marine species. But aquaculture will have existing of taking all the conditions of the ocean in a broader manner, right? That also you need to know. So government also proposed to launch Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. So government has already launched this, and they have proposed that we are going to take 3 more initiatives under this. First one will be enhancing aquaculture productivity. This is very important fact. At present, per hectare area, the production is 3, right? 3 tons. 3 tons productivity per each hectare. But government is going to take it to 5 hectares. So here what is the meaning of this? Government is going to increase the productivity of the aquaculture within Indian region, right? So this is one very important thing that to be remembered. Then doubling exports to 1 lakh crore. So at present there is exports of marine species or aquaculture ocean resources of 50. So 1 lakh crore, that means 50,000 crore. At present there is a export. Government is going to increase it to 1 lakh crore through the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. This fact is also very important. Then generate 55 lakh employment opportunities across the mariculture or aquaculture together, right? So this is also important number to be remembered. These three are part of Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana and overall comes under the Blue Economy 2.0, right? So this is how the government has stated that we are going to enhance Blue Economy 2.0 through aquaculture, mariculture and also Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. So there are three elements which government has taken up, right? So these are all facts are very important to remember. Also, India has already launched Blue Economy 1.0 with the detailed framework in the 2022 itself, which contains guidelines of all taking blue economy, coastal, marine tourism. All these things are very generic. They have clearly mentioned, but the document actually could not able to implement. That's why the government is now willing to clearly bring out the Blue Economy 2.0 so that all these objectives that we have discussed will be implemented properly, right? So that is Blue Economy 2.0. That means not only promoting the ocean resources, but in a sustainable manner, right? So these are all economic things and these are all very sustainable way, right? So restoration, adaptation, so two are combined in the Blue Economy 2.0, right? So that is the first article. Any doubts in this? Sir, same timings from tomorrow. Actually, there was slight changes in the timings because the gate examination is going on. There is a lot of discussions for the key. So it is the most important thing, right? So there will be slight changes in the next coming 1 week, but after that it will be every day at 5 p.m. Okay. So once the gate exam is over, then it will be regularly at 5 p.m. There may be some slight changes in the next coming 1 week. Okay, right. Next is nano diammonium phosphate. This will be very, very important. This is part of the agriculture. So the context is this. Already within our agriculture, they need lot of fertilizers, right? So to increase the productivity in agriculture, we need lot of fertilizers, and one among them is urea, which is very, very popular. The most of the fertilizers, the most important fertilizer to our farmers is urea, right? Urea is very important. Now, the second most popular one where the fertilizers are used is nano diammonium phosphate. This fact you need to remember. The most important fertilizer is used was urea, followed by diammonium phosphate. Now, what government is trying to do? Not diammonium phosphate, but nano diammonium phosphate want to be promoted among the farmers. We will see why the government is promoting nano DAP rather than diammonium phosphate, right? Before that, we need to know what is actually a diammonium phosphate. So observe here, it is a solid particle, right? So this diammonium phosphate is a solid particle, right? So here it is nothing but a fertilizers where it has high amount of phosphorus. So understand here, the diammonium phosphate is a solid one and having high amount of phosphorus, which can stimulate the growth of roots. So if you want to increase the productivity of the any agriculture, you need to have a good roots, right? Good amount of seeds. Then only we will get the productivity. So here for that purpose we are using the fertilizers, but there is an issue. Even in using the fertilizers, we are having certain issues like emission of methane or carbon dioxide gases or reduction of productivity. Whatever we have planned is not that much got into outcome. So there are certain issues in this particular utilizing of diammonium phosphate. That is the productivity, actual amount of this diammonium phosphate what we are providing to the plants, the actual productivity or the actual consumption of root is not possible because this is a solid one. So if you take any example, if you take a big boulder and put it into the water, so it takes very less amount of water. But if you take very finer particle, it can take too much of liquid, right? As much as possible. So here what they have done, they have reduced the size of very microparticles of diammonium phosphate and made as a liquid form. So what is diammonium phosphate? It is a solid form, but here nano DAP is a liquid. So if you directly pour the liquid onto the soil or into the soil will absorb a lot when compared to the solids. So if you give directly solids at the root, it will take too much time to take and the amount of observation that plants do or roots do is very less because it is a solid form. Now, Nano DAP was created by Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative. So it has created a different diammonium phosphate that is called as Nano DAP, which is in liquid form. So if we directly give this Nano DAP to the plants, it will take much faster, and also the efficiency, the absorption capacity of the roots will be very high. So finally, what is the outcome? There will be increased productivity as well, right? So that is the objective of introducing Nano DAP by the finance minister. So government want to encourage the farmers to shift towards the Nano DAP from DAP, right? Diammonium phosphate. So that is the fact you need to remember. And within this Nano DAP, there is a composition of nitrogen of 8% and then 16% of phosphorus. So earlier there is a high amount of phosphorus in the DAP, diammonium phosphate, but here in Nano DAP there will be a mixture of nitrogen as well as phosphate. That's why it will become more diverse and there will be more productivity from the plants, right? Yeah, so these are all we have discussed. And yeah, surface area, so all these things we have discussed, what is the objective. Also, one more important element to be remembered here, as it is a liquid form, the Nano DAP, it can directly enter into the seed. The solids cannot directly enter into the seeds at the root level, but as Nano DAP is in liquid form, they can directly, enter into the seeds. Therefore, the amount of chlorophyll, right? So it can be increased, the amount of chlorophyll in the plant will be increased, therefore the sunlight absorption, and then finally the productivity will increase, right? So that is the objective of nano diammonium phosphate. And also there are few more advantages of using this. One is easy transport. The diammonium phosphate was taking too much amount of volume, so farmers were not able to spend too much amount of money on it because it takes a lot of transportation charges. But here the Nano DAP, which reduced its size, is very easy to transpose because the amount of size has decreased. So this type of statements will come in the exam. They will create 2-3 statements about Nano DAP and they will ask you which are correct. So these are all the things that you need to understand. Rather than mugging up the facts, you have to understand the issue. Then you can, of course, you need to mug up the facts, few things, but if you understand the issue, it will be easy for you to remember the factual things, right? So this is the advantage. And one more advantage is reduce import burden. So we are importing too much amount of fertilizers, including urea and then diammonium phosphate. So if you could able to reduce the amount of diammonium phosphate through Nano DAP, so the amount of money we need to pay to the importers, like wherever we are importing from whichever country, mostly from Chinese, right? So we can reduce that amount which we are giving it to the other countries. That is one more advantage. And then there is also proved tests that there will be an increase in crop yield and efficiency by using the Nano DAP. That's why government is encouraging to shift towards the Nano DAP rather than utilizing the direct diammonium phosphate, right? We have to see how the government will promote. More details will come into the picture once the government will launch the scheme in detail, right? So if you have any doubts, you can you can ask here. I hope you are clear with what is Nano DAP. So in exam point of view, they will ask what is Nano DAP and what are the advantages, why we are shifting to the DAP rather than from diammonium phosphate, right? So these are all the things that you need to understand. Next, this may be also asked how much amount of nitrogen and phosphorus is present in Nano DAP, especially when you are writing the agriculture related exam. So you will see a little bit more deeper facts which will be asked in the exam. You can also remember who developed this. In many of the exams like IES and then IAS, even UPSC exams, they will ask who has launched this, which organization is associated with it, right? So that is also very important to be remembered. Next article, Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. So the name itself is getting some clue, that is station. So station here means railway station. Why it is there in news? The government in recent budget, after budget session, during the parliament session, the Ministry of Railways has announced that we have already identified 1,318 railway stations across India that we want to develop them in a long-term manner. So that is why we are reading them or discussing them, because Railway Minister has announced. Now we will see what actually is the Amrit Bharat scheme. right? You need to understand the main objective is, see, if you travel in the many of the railway station, especially if you are a person who has been traveling since last 10-15 years, there was a lot of change. The cleanliness is one of the major issues in railways the people are suffering from. If you go to any railway station, they are very dirty, right? Recently there was a lot of changes, but government want to make it to the long-term development. Only when there is a necessary, immediately the staff will rush and then they will clean, right? But in a long-term manner, the government want to make all the railway stations across India to be much cleaner, right? So sustainably it will long for much longer time. That's what the objective is. The objective of the scheme is this: all the identified railway station need to be maintained very clean in a long-term manner, right? Not for short-term manner. And it was launched in February 2023. This is also important to be remembered, especially the year when that was launched. Then we have discussed what is the objective, of course, to develop the railway stations in a long-term approach rather than short-term, right? So till now, the most focus is on short-term. Whenever there is a necessary, immediately the staff will rush and clean. But in a long-term manner, if you could able to do it, then it will promote much cleanliness across the railway station. So you understood the issue, you understood the objective. Now you need to understand the facts also within the scheme, right? So here the fact is enhancing the facilities beyond minimum essential amenities. So what is the minimum essential amenities in the railway station? Having bathrooms, right? Having proper chairs. So these are all the basic things which till now we were focusing. But now government want to take it more beyond that level, right? So what are those things? Like Wi-Fi, some roof plazas, you can see here, which will increase the aestheticness. So if you go to airports, you will see a lot of beauty there, unlike the railway station. So government want to make these elements into the railway station as well, including the city centers where you can do some shopping. So you can, if you go to the airport, you can see a lot of shopping material there, right? The same thing government want to make as part of the Amrit Bharat scheme, right? So this is a very basic thing, a very generic thing, that the same thing we have discussed here, right? So that is about the Amrit Bharat scheme, and the ministry associated is Ministry of Railways. So what you need to remember here, what is the scheme about, how many railway stations the government has identified, which ministry is associated with it, and when it was launched, and what are all the provisions that government has kept under the scheme. So those things you need to remember for the exam. Next one, Milan scheme. So the context is this: the recently our naval staff admiral Hari Kumar. So if you have followed this as a, it was there not in most of the editions like Delhi edition of Hindu, but it was there in Visakhapatnam. So Visakhapatnam Hindu edition, it was there, but no other editions were covered like Delhi. But there was a lot of questions from such type of topics in the almost all the exams, right? So here the naval chief has said that 46 countries are ready to participate in the Milan exercise. So what is Milan exercise? That we will do now. The full form is multilateral naval exercise. So the name itself suggesting here, multilateral means what? Connection among different countries, number of countries. Bilateral means between two countries. But if there are many more countries beyond two, then it is called as multilateral. And it is a naval exercise. So Milan is a naval, that means coastal exercise. From the name itself, if you remember the full form itself, there are two questions, that is multilateral, and then one more thing is Navy exercise. Rather than Air Force or Army, it is a Navy exercise. That also you need to remember, right? The theme of the Milan 2024, that is also very important to remember. So here, camaraderie, cohesion, collaboration. It means all together we will collaborate. That is the meaning in English, right? So the theme is also need to be remembered for the exam point of view. And what is the objective? That is very important, to participate or to engage with the friendly countries. See, if you see this exercise, China will never participate in this because it is not a friendly country to us. Whenever there are such options, which are all the countries part of Milan, there will be some questions which will make you to use elimination techniques. Because remembering 46 countries, who will remember? That's why the examiners will introduce some tactics to remove, right? Eliminate the options. Like China, they may give Pakistan. So you can easily eliminate them. Why will India conduct the naval exercise with the enemies, right? So here there are 46 countries and it is being taken up biennial. Biennial means once in 2 years. Once in 2 years. Not every year, right? Once in 2 years. Biannual means twice in a year, but biennial means once in 2 years. This is also important to remember. And when it was launched way back in 1995, right? So there was a question in UPSC a few years back, Indian Naval Symposium. So similarly, they may ask about the Milan as well. They have given that Indian Naval Symposium was started in 2020, 2018 something, but it was way back, launched in 2009. So they may change the year and they may give in the exam. So this also you need to remember. And this is the largest exercise held by India. So as an Indian government, from Indian government, this is the largest exercise. Other exercises are there like Malabar, only 3-4 countries are participating along with India, USA, Australia and Japan are participating. But this is the largest exercise. This may be also asked in the exam. So it was started with participation of only 4 countries. When it was started in 1995, only 4 countries were part of the exercise, that is Indonesia, Singapore, Sri Lanka and Thailand. So this fact you can remember. 46 countries you may not be remember, but what are the 4 countries that have participated in the first edition? They may ask in the exam, right? So what is the objective? We have seen to collaborate with the friendly countries and engage in the promoting the safe ocean environment, right? Defense environment. That is the objective, and these are all the facts that you need to remember along with the theme of this year and where it is happening. That is also important. Visakhapatnam. It is happening in Visakhapatnam. Date is not important, how many days and all that they won't ask. Where and what is theme and what are all the facts related to that will be asked in the exam, right? Any doubts in this? Right. Next one is Typhoid TCV. Very, very important because this is the first vaccine for typhoid fever. So everyone have faced typhoid at least once, at least in the childhood you might have already faced. But India has developed the first typhoid vaccine, right? So that's why this becomes very, very important. This is a very proud thing for India, right? So as we have developed it for the first time in the world. So here the context is this. The World Health Organization has approved using this, but still there is a tests going on the human population, right? So third trial, that means already 2 trials has been succeeded. Now third trial has been tested in Africa, right? So here in Malawi, Africa, the children were given with the third trial and it has showed that this is a very good efficiency against typhoid bacteria, right? So it lasted for, the test has proved that it lasted for approximately 4 years, at least 4 years. So there won't be any typhoid fever for at least 4 years for the children. And typhoid is actually attacking the children less than 6 years, right? Less than 6 years. So if you could able to do that in the early ages, so I mean before they get into the adults or the little bit more age, so they can able to resist the typhoid bacteria, right? So that is the context why it is there in use. So you need to know a facts about what is actually Typhoid TCV, right? The full form is this, typhoid conjugate vaccine. So it is nothing but a vaccine. It is nothing but a vaccine. So directly they may ask what is Typhoid TCV. So you will be confused. There will be a lot of like 4 options and you will be stuck with. So you need to remember very basic context, right? So that is vaccine. It is developed by Bharat Biotech. This is also very important to be remembered. Which organization has developed the TCV? So they may ask. It is developed by Bharat Biotech based in the Hyderabad. So it was already approved by WHO. The tests were very successful and World Health Organization has already given the nod. So this is the world's first typhoid vaccine which clinically proved to cure or to prevent the vaccine or against the typhoid fever, right? It was administered to children from 6 months to the age, the 6 years age to the 18 years age of adults as well. So they have checked, they have administered this vaccine to children as well as the different ages from 6 months to 18 years till the adult age was seen, right? So that's why, I mean, that's how they know the efficiency between the ages, and then they can conclude finally based on that the future programs of vaccination can be planned. So we need to know about the typhoid fever as well. So when you know about the vaccination, you need to know about the typhoid fever as well. That's how the questions can be framed by the examiners. It is a contagious Salmonella typhi bacteria. Contagious means what? It can spread from one person to other person. So that's why whenever there is a typhoid fever in your home, so it is always better to maintain healthy, I mean the hygiene in the home, because it is a contagious disease. It can spread from one person to other person. And which bacteria is causing it? Salmonella typhi bacteria. Very, very important to remember. So it can be spread through contaminated food or water. So if you drink water with a glass that the already person who was having typhoid, so you will also get the typhoid fever. So be very careful when you are taking the measures. The symptoms include, you all know, you might have already faced this. So it can be fever, vomitings, right, diarrhea. So all are the symptoms of typhoid fever. Then one more thing that we need to know for the exam, the typhoid fever can cause even death. There are deaths reported because of the typhoid virus. So it has a capability to cause the deaths also. That is also important to remember. A large proportion of severe typhoid fever was observed in the children aged below 2 years. So most of the typhoid fevers are occurring to children rather than adults, right? So this also you need to remember. And what the study has proved. So all these facts are not very important unless until you are writing any conventional exams like UPSC Civil Services. So you can justify your answers. But if you are writing any objective test that are not very important, all this data is not very much important, okay? So they have tested and they have proved that at least 4.3 years the vaccination can save the child from the typhoid fever, right? So this is very important thing. The study has proved that at least 4.3 years it can stay or it can control the typhoid fever, right? So that's what the study has proved. Next article, very, very important article we have now, fiscal deficit management. This is very, very important article for any exams. Let's discuss the context first. The government of India, that is through finance minister, has kept the target of achieving 5.1% fiscal deficit in this year. So it was announced in the budget that we will control the fiscal deficit at 5.1% in this particular year, 2024-25. So what is fiscal deficit? What is this 5.1%? So you may ask this. Let's discuss from very basic level what is actually fiscal deficit and then what is this 5.1% of GDP. So you might be aware about at least GDP, that means how much production is happening from India every year in terms of money, of course. So how many crores of the production it is happening in every year within Indian geographical territory. So out of, say for example, 1,000 crore production is happening from India, right? That is called as GDP. And out of that, there is a 5.1% of fiscal deficit. So 5.1% means approximately, right, 50 crore. So 5 by 100, so 50 crore, right? So 50 crore is fiscal deficit. That's what the 5.1 here is, right? Now we need to understand actually what is fiscal deficit. The government have revenue, that means the money coming towards the government, and government will also have expenditure, right? Very simple. Any individual, if you take example, you will earn, if you are an income earned person, for example, you are doing some job and you are getting 50,000 salary. That is called as your revenue and how much you are going to expenditure in that particular month. So same, what money is coming and what money is going, right? So fiscal deficit is nothing but difference between the expenditure of the government and the income of the government. So in general, for developing countries, especially like India, there is always an excess expenditure than what amount of money we are getting it. So what we will do, government is getting only, for example, 1,000 crores in terms of revenue. Government is getting 1,000 crores. Now, government expenditure is 1,500 crore because Government need lot of money to welfare schemes, paying salary for the government officials, giving to the states. So government expenditure is 15 crore, but government revenue is only 1000 crores. So what government has to do now? Government has to take 500 crores as debt in that particular year. I'm not talking about the whole of India, but only for this 1 year. So this 500 crore is called as nothing but fiscal deficit. We can also call it as borrowings. So extra borrowings. Whatever the amount that government is borrowing from the market, that is also can be represented as a fiscal deficit, right? So 500 crores is here, it is called as a fiscal deficit. I hope you are understood. So this fiscal deficit government is aiming to achieve at 5.1% of total GDP that India is producing in particular year, right? So this number you need to remember for the exam. Now we have discussed what is actually fiscal deficit and all, right? So this year budget government has represented, it is having expenditure of 47.66 lakh crore. So identify here, it is not crore, it is a lakh crore. So government expenditure is 47.66 lakh crore, and income is, the revenue is only 30.8 lakh crore. Now what government will do? Government has to borrow approximately 17 lakh crore from somewhere else. I hope you are getting it, right? You have any doubts? If you are not understanding, please let me know in the comment section. I will help you again. I will repeat again. No need to worry. So here the total expenditure government is going to spend in the next coming year is 47.66 lakh crores. But the expected income for the government is only 30.8 lakh crore. Now what government has to do? Government has to bring money from somewhere else of 17 lakh crores, right? So this is called as the fiscal deficit of the year, right? These are also called as borrowings, right? So this is about the fiscal deficit. Now, how is fiscal deficit different from government debt? So this also a lot of people will confuse. There is a slight difference, debt to GDP ratio and fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit, right? So these two are two different things, debt to GDP ratio and fiscal deficit, right? Fiscal deficit represent government debt in that particular year. In that particular year, for example, 2023-24, right? In that particular year, whatever the government is borrowing from the market, that is called as fiscal deficit. And what is debt? Total debt. Total debt is nothing but the amount accumulating every year. Government will borrow some 10 lakh crore this year. Next year again, it will bring some 10 lakh more crore. So over the years, since the independence, you can say, right? Since 1947, how much the debt is accumulating every year. So debt means fiscal deficit of all the years accumulating since the independence. So that is called as the debt to GDP ratio. So approximately 80%, the debt to GDP ratio as of is 80%. That means out of total GDP that we are producing every year, 80% is debt only. We need to pay back, right? But fiscal deficit is only 5% because that is per year. Per year how much you are bringing. This is the total debt that we are accumulating since many years. This difference also you need to know. This article was taken from Hindu itself. It was given in detail what are all the measures to be taken, what is the difference between. So it was clearly mentioned there, right? Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the response. You are able to understand. So we have identified the difference between fiscal deficit and debt to GDP ratio. Always remember this. This is approximately 8% and now it is around 9%. This fiscal deficit is around 9%. Our government is trying to bring it to 5.1% of GDP, right? So that is about the difference. Now, if you see this year budget, I have added this one as well, in which article was not actually mentioned. So you might get, sir, there are 17 lakhs borrowings, fiscal deficit. From where government will get? Of course, government need to bring 17 lakhs, else government cannot able to support the welfare schemes and give salaries. So this was given in this year budget. From where government is taking this fiscal deficit? The borrowings, the amount of money that not able to balance with the revenue. From where it is taking? See, you can see here, 17 lakh crores approximately, right? It is mostly taking from market borrowings. That means there are government securities also called as GSACs. These are the bonds given by the government. For example, there will be a bond where government will sign that we are the responsible to pay back. So you keep this bond, you give money for us, we will pay it after 2 years, 3 years. So now as a public or as a, for example, I'm a corporate bank, so I will give money to the government. Okay, take some 1 lakh crore. I will give 1 lakh crore, you just give me some interest. After 5 years, I will get 1.1 lakh crore, right? So government is taking the major part. This will be very, very important for our exam. Which is the major source for government borrowings as of now? It is nothing but market borrowings, right? From market, then dominated by securities against small savings, right? Okay, here it was 3,95,000 and here it is, yeah, so here it is 11 lakhs. Among 17 lakh crore, 11 lakh crores are taken from market borrowings, followed by securities against small savings. That means many of the people are saving in post offices as a small savings, even the elderly people, especially who are getting pensions. So those money also government is using, but they are promising with the interest, right? So this is the second component. Then there are other components you need to remember: short-term borrowings like treasury bills, and then provident funds, whatever the people are, the government employees are, or even the private employees are saving themselves. So all these things are borrowings by the government, right? Majorly dominated by market borrowings, followed by securities against small savings. You don't need to worry about these figures. You just remember what is the borrowings, that is fiscal deficit in terms of lakh crores. This number is important to remember, right? And what are the major contributors for government borrowings? Only these things you need to extract. So you need to develop a skill to identify what are all the important facts from the government documents or even from any other thing. You should not mug up all the facts. That is very difficult for our brain to remember. You will confuse in the exam and you will forget, right? So this is how you need to remember. Now, why it is an issue? Why fiscal deficit is an issue for government? There are certain reasons why this fiscal deficit is issue for government. One, it creates inflation because government is taking all the money from the the market. Then there are no money available for other private organizations or private companies to produce goods, right? So without funds or without loans, the private entities cannot develop the products, right? So there will be a reduced production, so there will be higher demand from the public. See, for example, in COVID times, there is a very high demand for injections, masks and all, but the private entities are not able to produce those required products. So whenever government is taking the funds, it is squeezing the funds from the market. So there is not available because government is not producing it. It is just distributing the money among the public. Waste of money. But it is in turn reducing the production. So it is leading to inflation, increase in cost of the goods. Then confidence among the lenders. So whoever want to give money to the government, their confidence will be low because government is taking too much amount of money, whether they will pay on time or it will again delay. So whenever we require whether government will give it or not, it is not sure. So it will reduce the confidence of lenders who are giving money to the government. Then ability of government to manage the public debt. See, the overall debt, we have discussed the difference between physical deficit and the overall debt. So if every year physical deficit is keep on accumulating, for the next 50 years, what will be happening? Right? It is very difficult to pay back the public debt. Again, this is an issue. Then lesser physical deficit will, enable government to take cheaper loans from the external market. Not only within Indian boundaries, it can take money from World Bank, IMF, right? So if government is not able to maintain that, it is very difficult to take money from the external market, right? So these are all the issues why fiscal deficit is always an issue in the Indian economy, right? So what ahead? What government has to do to resolve this? To increase taxes. Take taxes from the people who are earning more or the companies who are investing in India, the rich people, right? Collect more tax as much as possible. So your revenue will increase and then the amount of borrowings from the market that you want to take will also reduce. Then cut down subsidies. You can see a lot of government, not only at the center, from the states also, they keep distributing. Take 3,000 pension, 5,000 pension, keep on increasing it. Those are all the wasteful expenditure which are not creating any capital assets, right? So that's why we need to cut down the subsidies from the government side. So we have discussed the fiscal deficit very clearly. Yeah, so what we have discussed what is fiscal deficit and what is the difference between the debt to GDP ratio, right? And also we have discussed what is the current status of fiscal deficit. We have also discussed what is issues with the fiscal deficit and what are the solutions for it. Now we will move to another one, that is dusted Apollo. So it is a butterfly. You can see here in the image, it was given in the Hindu article. So the context is this. This butterfly for the first time was seen in Himachal Chamba region, right? Not Chambal. So Chambal is in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Gujarat boundary. It is Chamba. This will be asked in the exam, where the recently dusted Apollo for the first time was discovered. So this is the context. It was discovered from Himachal Chamba region. Now there are facts. So it is not an issue to discuss like fiscal deficit. There are facts only that you need to focus on. You need to remember the scientific names also. In many of the exams they are directly giving scientific names rather than the normal name. Parnasius stenosmus. So this one is the scientific name of dusted Apollo. So these two names to be remembered, right? Not only dusted Apollo, you need to remember the scientific name as well. It is a high altitude butterfly. This is how the statements will be confused, because butterflies are actually at the lower level. They cannot fly much higher, right? So they cannot go to much higher latitudes, right? Or altitudes we can say. So in the exam you will confuse, why will butterfly go with the such heights? But this is the special case that it can fly up to 3.5 to 4.8 kilometers height. I mean meters here given. So 3.5 to 4.8 kilometers high they can fly. This is how the examiner or you yourself can confuse in the exam. In the inner Himalayas. So Tibetan Himalayas are outer Himalayas. So Shivaliks and all, you might be aware in the geography. So they are native to inner Himalayas. For the first time, this butterfly was discovered in 1890. This was first in India, discovered in 1890, right? So this distribution, this is the most important thing. Where can one see dusted Apollo in their natural habitat? That's how the questions can be framed. So it is extended from Ladakh in the west to Nepal in the west, right? So Ladakh is here. So if you see Indian map, so here is Ladakh, right side of Jammu Kashmir, and here is Nepal. So this is the range where the dusted Apollo can be seen in their natural habitat. Ladakh to west of Nepal. This is very, very important. Their wingspan is approximately 5 to 7 centimeters. So it is like a normal butterfly. Those are all the facts that you need to remember for the exam. Now, next article is Surajkund International Crafts Festival. Right? So let's go to the next article. So the context is this. Our Honorable President of India has inaugurated 37th Surajkund International Craft Festival. Okay. So the questions can be asked, where is actually Surajkund? Every year it happens in the same place. It won't change. Usually, if there is any conferences, they keep changing across India, right? But this Surajkund International Festival will happen in Surajkund, the same place in Haryana. Okay, very, very important. And this is the 37th edition. That is also important to be remembered. So the context is clear. President has launched the 37th Surajkund International Craft Festival. Now, what actually is Surajkund International Craft Festival? That you need to remember. So you might be already got some clues. So if it is a craft festival, means they are showcasing the crafts of India across the regions at single place, so that they can make awareness among the public and the production of the local goods can be promoted across India, right? So earlier we were having lot of crafts, right, toys which are indigenous, but now because of Chinese goods, Chinese toys, we have reduced the demand for the traditional craft, because these are a little bit costlier and Chinese are dumping the at very low cost, right? So that's why the government already banned a lot of Chinese toys and encouraging the local traditional toys here. This is one such international craft festival where they can showcase the Indian crafts or goods at one single place, right? So that is the objective. So it can collect from, the goods can collect from throughout India. Though this is happening at one single place, that is Surajkund in Haryana, but every year they keep focusing on one certain state, right? So this year they are focusing, okay, we will see in the next slide of which state is sponsoring this year of Surajkund. Who is organizing this is also important. There is a authority, Surajkund Mela Authority, which was already established at Surajkund, along with the Ministry of Tourism, right? Ministry of Tourism, Textiles, Culture. So it is collaborating. You don't need to worry to remember all the ministries. You can just remember Surajkund Mela Authority. This was for the first time happened in 1987. Very, very important to remember. The first edition of the first session has happened in 1987. Now, this year, 37th Surajkund International Craft Festival, you need to remember what are all the facts related to this year edition. It is happening in Surajkund, Faridabad, Haryana, like every year, same single place. The theme state is Gujarat. So every year, there will be showcasing of specific, of course, there will be all the crafts from different regions, but specific focus will be on one state. So this year, it is Gujarat, important to remember. And the partnering nation, every year one nation will also partner with the Surajkund Mela Authority, that is Tanzania this year. Very important to remember. State is Gujarat and the country is Tanzania. These are all the facts that you need to remember from Surajkund 37th edition. Okay? Yeah. Now, moving to the next article. So, two more articles and then we will see some facts and finally solving the MCQs. So, there is a Kavach system which the Ministry of Railways again has put forward in the Parliament discussion. So, already 1465 route of kilometers along with 139 locomotives were already launched in South Central Railway. So you might be confused what is actually this Kavach system. First we will understand, so you will already, you know the context, now we will understand how the Kavach system will work. You might be aware that there was, train accidents in recent times, especially in Odisha, right, where the two rails has crashed and more than 500 people has died. That was the biggest train crash, right, in the India since its independence. So here, government has developed the Kavach system. Kavach system. So this Kavach system is nothing but a satellite communication only using radio frequency. There will be connection within the tracks as well as within the train. So there will be a satellite communication among the tracks as well as the trains. So whenever they were approaching, it will send to the communication center and immediately this person also here will come to know. So at least before some kilometers, these signals will send to the respective center and there will be a collaboration between the two trains. So immediately they can apply the brake, and even this system will automatically apply the brake. Even if locomotive is, whoever the driving the train is sleeping, this will automatically apply the brakes. So which is a very good system. It was developed by it was developed actually by Research, Design and Standard Organization under Indian Railway. This is also important. Who developed this? That is important always. Research, Design and Standard Organization. And I hope you understood the mechanism. So there will be a satellite communication and there will be a mission connected in two trains and also among the railway tracks. So they can check the condition of the railway tracks whenever there is a flexibility. So immediately it will send it to the communication center. Similarly, it will be kept in two trains. They also send the communication. So it will abort the railway accident or railway collisions. That's how it works. We need to know the facts as well. So here frequency used is radio frequency. So in electromagnetic spectrum, we have visible rays, infrared rays, right? Similarly, gamma rays. So here radio frequency is used for communication, that you need to remember. So it can enable talking between each other between these pilots, whoever, I mean the loco pilots, whoever is driving. So it will enable the communication as well, and also controls the brakes of trains. So even if the loco pilot is sleeping, it can also control the brakes automatically. It was connected, so the brake will immediately apply and it will avoid the collision, right? So application, it can be used to assist locomotive connection and then alert the locomotive, right? So these are very generic in nature. Controls the speed of the train. So this type of questions can be framed. What are all the applications of Kavach? So consider the following applications of Kavach. So you may confuse it can control the speed. Sometimes it will give you some dilemma and you will choose a wrong option, right? So it can also control the speed of the train, right? Along with the assistance between the two locomotives and automatic brake system, it can also control the speed. Of course, if it is controlling brakes, it can also control the speed. That's how the logic can be extracted from the statements, right? So that is about the Kavach system. What is Kavach system? Who developed it? What are all it can be done, right? Which frequency it is being used. So those are the facts to be remembered, right? Next, Lantana elephants. So the context is this. You can see here they are the wooden elephants. They are not physical elephants actually. So what happened? The context is this. Recently, a group of environmentalists in the Bengaluru have created a elephants with the lantana. Lantana is nothing but, you can see here, it is a wood, it is a tree. Okay, we will see what is actually lantana camera tree, and before that we need to understand what actually the issue is. Okay, so I hope the context is understood. The group of environmentalists has created the wooden elephants using lantana camera tree, that the wood it produces. That's why they are called as lantana elephants. They are not the actual bio elephants, that means living real elephants. They are wooden made elephants. That is the context. So why they have made it? They have observed few things. The environmental has observed few things. This lantana camera, the tree, right? So which is called as lantana camera. This is an invasive species. That means wherever these plants are going, they are occupying all other species space. So they are killing other trees and they are occupying the most of the region. So those are called as invasive species. Invasive species means they are not native to that region, but once planted, they will clear other ecosystems. Those are called as invasive species. So here, because these plants are clearing the other ecosystems, now people are trying to cut them and then they can use them in a different manner. But why they only created the elephants here? Because it was observed that this lantana camera, wherever they are growing, the elephants and other wildlife not able to sustain in the regions, right? Because it is not feasible to eat also. The elephants cannot also eat that lantana camera. So it is clearing the ecosystem of other animals. So that's why these people have combined two themes. One is the negative of lantana camera, that is the invasiveness of that particular plant species, and also reducing ecosystems for the elephants in the Karnataka region. So they have combined the two themes here and they have created this to promote the awareness among the public, right? So that is about the lantana elephants. The context is this. So here the fact to be remembered, what is lantana camera? That is invasive species, weed species, and lantana elephants are artificially made life-size elephants. And why they have created this? To bring awareness among the public who are residing there about lantana camera and its effect on the elephants ecosystem, right? You need to remember few more facts from lantana camera. It is an invasive flowering plant. So it is a flowering plant. That's why we have bought from other country, from where it is native to American tropics. Tropics means between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So it is native to North America and South America, that is Mexico, which is part of below the Tropic of Capricorn, and also Argentina, Brazil. So it was not actually native to India. This you need to remember. It was native to American region, North America, South America region. We have bought it for beauty, but it is creating a problem for the ecosystems, right? So this you need to remember. It is a scrub, that means which can climb the other trees. Scrub means which is not having the trunk, rather a small stem, right? So these facts you need to remember about the lantana camera, right? So they are very adaptable species. Wherever you put, they will grow and enhance the size of those plants, right? Which is a negative thing. And the last article before going to the facts and solving the MCQs, that is INS Sandhayak. So you can see the context here. Recently, Ministry of Home Affairs, Rajnath Singh, has launched INS Sandhayak into the Navy of Eastern Naval Command in the Visakhapatnam, right? So this is the context. We will see what is actually INS Sandhayak and what are all the facts to be remembered, right? So INS Sandhayak is a survey vessel, largest survey vessel built in India. So till now, among the vessels that we have, this is the largest one. Indian naval ship. INS means Indian naval ship Sandhayak. It is the largest survey vessel ever built by the India. And it is fully designed and built by Garden Reach shipbuilders. So who built this also can be asked in the exam. It is a private shipbuilders. So Garden Reach shipbuilders, right? So this is research vessel, and who built this is important. So it is the first in series of 4 survey vessels. Already government is trying to create 4, and this is the first in the series. That also you need to remember. And they have diesel engines. So a lot of petrol engines or nuclear engines are also being used. So here it is a diesel engines being used. It can also carry helicopters. So this naval ship can also create helicopters, and they can read or study the data from the oceans. Utility, where this ship can be deployed. This also can be asked in the exam. In which of the instances this INS Sandhayak can be used? Here, coastal deep water hydrographic survey. So if there is any coastal near the ports or harbor, they will study the depth, whether this particular ship can be entered into the coast, because they need draft. Draft means depth of the water where ship can be traveled with a safe manner. So they will also read this draft, the amount of depth, the amount of water there should be. Also, it can also collect the data related to oceanographic and geographical for defense application. Defense application means whether there is some ships of Chinese in the region, right? Or there are any submarines under the water. So those all data which are related to the defense application can also be done. Then one more thing, they can also assist the during the disaster. If there is any floods, if there are any tsunamis, so this naval ship can also assist during the disasters. So these are all the applications of INS Sandhayak. There are some factual pointers. So if you have any doubts, you can ask, or else we'll move to the factual pointers and finally solving the MCQs, right? So first fact is the Commonwealth Attorney and Solicitor General Conference is being held in New Delhi. So this is the first inaugural session, right? So this is for the first time the conference is happening, and that is being happened in New Delhi. So who is Attorney General, who is Solicitor General? So for any case to be resolved, there should be a lawyer. For example, I'm having some issue in the legal. So I will talk to a lawyer, right? And then he will fight from our side. From the government side, there will be a litigant. Government will also face some litigants. Even I can file that government has occupied my land. So who will support from or who will fight from the government? The person is called as Attorney General. Whoever is assisting government in a legal cases, he is or she is called as Attorney General of India. And whoever assists him or her, right? So he or she is called as Solicitor General. So Solicitor General is nothing but an assistant of Attorney General in the dealing with the legal cases of the government, right? So this conference is being held for the first time in India, that is happening in New Delhi. And the theme, you need to remember, cross-border challenges in justice delivery. So there will be cross-border challenges, because the companies which are investing in India will arise some litigations which not native to India. They may be the foreign companies, right? So in case there is such issues, it is highlighting such cross-border issues between the countries, right? So the theme has to be remembered, right? Next, Vayu Shakti 2024. So it is an exercise, Air Force exercise. Vayu means of course wind. There is a clue in that. It is being carried over by Indian Air Force, not the military or Navy. So it is being conducted in Pokhran Air at the Jaisalmer in Rajasthan. So desert region. So it is conducting in Rajasthan, right? Who is conducting? IAF. That is important for the exam. Vayu Shakti 2024. Finally, Shri L.K. Advani became the 50th person for receiving the Bharat Ratna Award. I am not discussing here Bharat Ratna Award because already we have discussed 7 days back. Karpuri Thakur has got the Bharat Ratna Award, 49th person. So we have discussed in detail. If you want, it is there in the playlist. Just go back and see all the details that we have discussed related to the Bharat Ratna. How many times to be given, who is giving. So all the things we have discussed there. Here we are just discussing the 50th person is Lal Krishna Advani, who has received the Bharat Ratna Award. Right? The last fact, Kalaripettu, this was covered from the Hindu paper, that certain youth from Haryana are being practiced under Kalaripettu. So Kalaripettu is an Indian martial art. You can see martial art means it is a armored one, right? So it is from the state of Kerala. And one more fact you need to remember, it is the oldest martial art from the Indian subcontinent. So state and then what is its future, right? That you can remember for the exam. Now we will solve some practice questions. I hope you are ready to solve. We have discussed very comprehensive manner. So without confusion, try to answer them. The first question will be from nano diammonium phosphate, right? So let's read the question. For which of the following reasons government is promoting nano diammonium phosphate or nano DAP? So they have given 4 reasons and we need to identify why the government is deploying this. First option, it has a high amount of toxic substances that can kill insects that affects the plants. So they are saying that nano DAP has certain toxic substances which can kill the insects, which are in turn affecting the plants. That is one reason. Then it has liquid form, can efficiently apply directly to the plants. So it is a liquid form and we can directly apply to the plants, they are saying. Then it is much cheaper than traditional diammonium phosphate. So that is the third reason. It has immense neem content. Neem means you know that the plant, the powder that we are using in urea also, right? So neem content that can promote organic fertilizer application in agriculture. So there are 4 reasons. Someone have already answered it. 1B, let's check, let's wait if some other can answer this. Okay, let's move ahead. So this is the reason we have discussed clearly that it is a liquid form and can apply directly to the plants so that it will be more efficient for the plants to grow. So answer is very direct, answer is B. Next, which of the following statements about Amrit Bharat station scheme is correct? So they have given 2 statements and are asking you to choose the correct options about the Amrit Bharat scheme. First statement, it envisages development of railway stations on continuous basis with long-term approach. So this objective they are saying to envisage the long-term development of railway stations. Next, it is launched by Government of India in Budget 2024. So there are 2 statements. So I am waiting for your answer. So any answer from your side? Okay, let's check. Okay, second is A, someone have answered it. Let's check. It envisages development of railway station on continuous basis with long-term approach. Yes, they want to make the stations much clean as well as some much in a sophisticated manner like roof as well as city centers. So this is correct answer. It was launched in Budget 2024. Yes, one more person has answered, Anil Babu as A. You are correct, both of you. This was launched in 2023. Government is just extending it. It was launched in 2023, not in the budget. So this is wrong and this is correct. Next, very direct question and it will be very simple, I hope. Typhoid fever is caused by virus, bacteria, protozoa, fungus. Ramesh Gude has answered B. I'm not sure for which answer. I hope it is being answered for this question. I'm waiting for your answer. So which are the causes to cause typhoid fever? Three B. Okay, right. So someone has answered it already. So it is bacteria. We have discussed typhoid is caused by bacteria, not virus, not fungus, not protozoa. So it is caused by bacteria, Salmonella bacteria, right? Then fourth question, this will be little bit tricky. Ramesh Gaud, that is actually bacteria answer. So this is little bit tricky. This is higher level. UPSC 2023 prelims. Last year prelims, there was a lot of questions in such manner. So even assertion reason type, right? So in many of the exams, they are asking assertion reason type. So the same one it is. They have slightly changed. Let's read the two statements. This is a little bit application based. Statement 1. Physical deficit happens only when there is excess amount of expenditure when compared to the revenue. So that is the statement 1. This is a little bit application, you need to think. So physical deficit happen only when there is a excess amount of expenditure compared to the revenue. That is the first statement. Second statement, physical deficit is an indication of total borrowings needed by the government. Right? So physical deficit is an indication of total borrowings needed by the government in a year, right? So they did not add this, you can consider it as in a year. Now they are saying statement 1, statement 2 are correct, but also second statement is explaining statement 1. Second statement, second option, first is correct, second is correct, but this statement is not explaining this one. Statement 2 is not correct explanation to statement 1. Third option they are giving, first is correct but second is wrong. D is, this one is wrong and this one is correct, right? So 4A. Very good. So this answer is A. So you are analyzing it correctly. So answer is option A. That is correct. Because physical deficit happens only when there is an excess amount of expenditure when we compare to the income. And the reason is the indication of borrowings. The reason is correct because there is an excess amount of expenditure. So this is correctly explaining the statement 1. So answer is A, right? Next, final question. What type of ship is INS Sandhayak that was recently launched by government, right? So which type of ship is INS Sandhayak? Survey vessel, anti-submarine warfare carrier, strategic strike, nuclear submarine, aircraft carrier. So we have discussed this, what are all the applications also. So try to answer this. The last question. Fifth one is A, right. So we have discussed it is a survey vessel. It is the largest till now created by India, largest survey vessel. So answer is correct. So those are the questions for today's session. Thanks a lot. So this is our today's session. Keep following, keep subscribing and keep telling to your friends. So it will be really helpful for all the exams, right? So thanks a lot. Let's end this session.